more often, and that'll be a lot better game plan.
I mean, honestly, let's get into maybe just play some more standard lanes with some winning lanes early. I really do feel like NRG are at their best when they have standard lanes for Contractz to go gank heavily. He has been very good at forcing a lot of those ganks. He constantly, as you can see here, does draw these Ivern bans too. He is notorious for being a very, very annoying Ivern, so FlyQuest keeping with that. And even though some of the games they have lost with the Yone mid, they're still also, you know, banning that away from Palafox. Yeah. It's like, yeah, those are also the times where you think that NRG were able to really take wins off the best teams was with you know, double melee split pushing solo laners for both Dhokla and Palafox.
It's interesting that they ban out the Massu Ezreal. So, you know, maybe looking to go for something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more dive oriented, try to take out one of these safe AD carries. Poke obviously has become really, really popular. We're seeing a lot of like Ezreal plus Corki and Ezreal plus Jace and Ezreal plus whatever else.
Yeah, I would have expected, because I really did like the duo of Rakan and Wukong in game 1. Alongside the Ashe, so they really had a lot of tools to look for engages. Now they're going for the Lillia on B1. A lot of times with Lillia compositions, you do see a little bit more poke-centric compositions like Corki Ezreal. Of course, they did ban the Ezreal. I'm interested where they're going to go from here on out. But I'm expecting one of the many AD mids that Palafox has been known for, like the Jaces that he's played in the past.
MF is very diveable if you do want to play something that's more aggressive. Though.
Yeah, I was actually going to hope for NRG to be able to get like a Misfortune Rel combination to play with the Lillia. Like, that to me sounds like a type of comp where they would be able to have success. You know, big AoE, winning one of those big fights. But I think it's a smart steal here by FlyQuest. They grabbed that plus the Azir playmaker for quad.
And Zell, I feel like I've been lied to, because the coaches in your interview said that it's business as usual after the patch, but we're seeing a lot more AP mids. Last game was Azir Orianna, right now we're seeing the Azir, and of course—
The coaches lied to us, Raz?
They lied to us!
Oh my.
This has never happened before.
Right before a game with the other coach there listening?
That's crazy.
I'm taking a note, never trust coaches again.
Yeah. Well, we got the Croc on the top lane, Corki, so NRG is kind of looking like a last patch draft. Obviously, MF was picking up popularity last patch as well, and Azir was still getting played, but it was lower prio than a lot of those AD mids. We do have double physical plus the AP jungler, so very much previous patch and kind of standard for the course here for NRG. NRG, of course, still need to grab their bot lane. And now the question is just, what role does FlyQuest match?
Hell yeah.
The Volibear top
We're not picking that one,
is
buddy.
a Bwipo special. I think it could get locked in.
Oh, hell
yeah.
Hell no.
I think this is volley top for sure. Not going to be volley jungle, right?
Volibear.
What kind of volley are you looking for? Is it going to be a Roa volley?
I want it to be a Bwipo Volibear top. I don't think that he will actually go the Quick Blades build.
Quick Blades,
that is really fun, but I don't think that is that suited for pro play. It's much more.
But is it suited for Bwipo?
True.
Bwipo play.
It's much more, you know, solo QS. But it is still a flex, and it is definitely playable into jungle. It's just that it is literally Volibear's worst matchup to play Lillia. Lillia versus Volibear. So that's why I'm like, it is a 0.00001% chance that it's a jungle Volibear, because Lillia is actually your worst nightmare as a jungle matchup. She power clears. She goes Leandries, she burns you down, you're a health tank,
You're kited nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it is definitely a, hey, I'm gonna play into the Renekton that way, and it is kind of that Bwipo special that we've come to expect. You know, he loves playing more fringe counter picks in the top lane.
I mean, this is something he's been known about forever. Like, he's been known for his Volibear, he's been known for his Rengar in his past. He was talking on pros this week about his Victor top from back in the day.
Unfortunately for him, the jungler can also come top, so he still might have to play
into
the Lillia, And so it still might be a Volibear having to deal with annoying Lillia.
You can just say it, top is jungle diff.
Yeah, it certainly is. Meanwhile, towards the bottom side of the map there, I like the respect that people give Massu. You know, banning out the Kalista plus the Ziggs here, since they saw the Corki mid already from the side of, or actually the other side, reverse here, as far as that respect goes.
That's what I'm wondering on both sides, though. Ezreal and Senna obviously banned out towards Massu, too.
Yeah, because that's what I was wondering from NRG side. They were the ones that banned Senna. I was wondering, okay, what's their 4-5 actually going to look like with the range disadvantage they're going to be going up against both MF and Dhokla eating Jatt. But with both MF and Azir, it's just going to be a tough 4-5. So Jhin and Leona, a little bit more aggressive. They can get to the backline a little easier.
I like Leona a lot against MF as well, because you basically can't use your MF ult until Leona uses her ult. It's really, really annoying actually playing that matchup. You always have to wait out, because anytime you try to find that bullet time, you can just get interrupted by the Leona ult very, very easily. The Viego plus Volley, really strong early duo as far as those skirmishes on the top side as well. It's going to be pretty exciting stuff. Kobe's got an interview to do, so he is heading on over for that. He is running. I think I just heard his microphone break, so maybe he's not doing his interview after all.
No.
But Alistar coming through as that final pick. FlyQuest needed some primary engage. Now they have it. They have a lot of upfront damage to try to get those resets here for the Viego.
Which comp do you prefer between NRGs and FlyQuest?
I think it's NRG, but let's find out what the casters think. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, draft or not, I think it's going to be hard for fans to bet on NRG after game one, where it seemed like FlyQuest just had their numbers start to finish. So let me ask you guys. We heard them on the new lounge, the new era lounge, call the Volibear pick a fringe pick. Now, my opinion on that is that the difference between the words fringe and cringe are but a single letter. I don't know how well this is going to work, because to me, Volibear seems very solo queue oriented.
The other interesting thing that they didn't point out on in the lounge that I thought was really crucial is NRG is kind of known as one of our best Senna teams, but they themselves have banned Senna in both of these drafts.
Well, what that says to me is yesterday when we did get to see a little bit of the new age Senna, Azir was talking a lot about how, you know, a lot of those builds that were very popular, things like lethality, are no longer in the game. We'll talk about it here a little bit more later on, but for now, we've got Kobe standing by for an interview with Coach ThinkCard.
Thank you, Flowers. We've got the coach here. First question, right off the bat, has to be playing against Bwipo. Do you expect Volibear top counter picks?
Honestly, yes. We've played this matchup way too many times in scrims of just Volibear versus Renekton. So we've seen this many, many times. So we weren't that surprised when he picked it up.
So if you've seen it already before, does he usually go the Flicker Blade build, or is it more tanky?
It is. He does, and it is a massive coin flip. I'm going to be honest. Like, the way he plays this lane is really coin flippy. So half the times he dies and half the times he gets a kill. It's really aggressive.
I love to hear that. We're gonna have an exciting one here. What's the main thing that you told the team after game number one?
Well, we've been here before. We have a lot of experienced players. Obviously, not the best showing. We tried something, and then we made a very early macro mistake, which put us pretty far behind. So kind of shrug it off. I think FlyQuest, if there's something that we can take away, is they haven't really had a clean series yet on stage this entire split. They'd be one. So we're still expecting them to make mistakes, play our game, be confident. It's going to be a long series.
All right, good luck. Let's get back to the cast.
A long series is what he's expecting, and I'm sure that's what the NRG faithful are hoping for as well after game number one was so one-sided. Down here in bottom, though, Huhi with a nice max-range Zenith Blade onto Massu, but now FBI's got to be a little bit careful because Busio's doing a good job preventing him from following up.
Had to burn that flash early, though. I love the reaction by Busio, seeing that E might have actually been a kill angle, or at least forced Massu's summoner spells, and Busio would rather keep the flash and cleanse on his carry than on himself.
Yeah, and as we said, this bot lane is kind of set up for success. Like, they do really want to be able to get on this MF, and they have the tools for it. And when we have seen FBI and Huhi succeed, it is through making these super, super aggressive early bot lane 2v2 trades. But this Volibear versus Renekton setup, ThinkCard did such a good job of like hyping me up for it now, right?
Hey.
Because he said it's really coin flippy. He will end up most likely going that Flicker Blade build, which you and I, Jatt, were kind of are like, okay, is he just going to go tankier? Because that is the more popular build on the top lane Volibear.
I've been seeing a lot of top lane. When I looked at the top lane Volibears across the world, it has been played a decent amount, and the Flicker Blade is actually built most of the time, even in pro. I think Bwipo's, at least for 4 levels, are fine. You can see he's already recalling. He didn't get ganked despite his jungler actually moving towards the bottom quadrant of the map. So in terms of the very early coin flips, no one decided to absolutely throw down and just force an all-in. So that would probably be advantage Bwipo early. It's hard to say, though, with this matchup.
I like how the Energy fan in chat is already betting on reverse sweep, so he's betting on
Oh,
Energy
wow.
losing this one too. That is the most non-rational way to cheer for your team. I appreciate it.
And between games, Flowers, you and I were chatting because you asked me what my prediction was before the series, and I said FlyQuest 3-1. And you were saying, you know, that one, and I'm looking unlikely, and I'm saying, I don't know, Flowers, it does only take one.
Yeah,
so,
turns out one is one.
But, like, just saying, in terms of
basic math.
ThinkCard is thinking like me in terms of FlyQuest not necessarily playing a completely clean series, even in best of threes. So we'll really wonder how clean Bwipo specifically can play on a less common top lane pick. A lot of buttons that can go in with this pick, not as many buttons that go out, so he really does need to play clean for this to work.
That felt like a John Madden thing.
Yeah.
You got to keep track of your buttons, right? Which buttons are going in, which buttons are going out.
Like Corki.
Right there, he's going in. It's a going in button.
Yeah, the Q is a go in button, not a go out button.
Not a go out. Yeah, he didn't get out. He's now walking away slowly.
Although
You're
you
right.
can R in any direction.
Yeah.
So was that a lie? Does he have just as many go out as go in buttons?
Well, W doesn't go either direction because he just
Yeah.
swipes at something. Q goes in. E can kind of go out because you can shield yourself while you're running away.
It is more go in than go out on Q because it's doubled when you're moving towards the target and
Right.
half as much when you're going away.
It's not as one-sided as your initial statement may have suggested, but the overall sentiment is still correct. He goes in with more buttons.
Well, same buttons, but the buttons are
More
better.
extremely, he heads inward.
Yep,
Okay.
love it.
Wow.
Today we learned about Volibear.
We've talked about pants and buttons.
The two go together very frequently, Emily.
True.
it's a
You
natural
could say
duo.
one facilitates
Oh, this could
the
be a
operation
fight.
of the other.
Dhokla wants 6,
He got it.
and the junglers arrive.
Bwipo's got his 6 as well. Contractz going bowling. There goes the bear, but they don't care. Energy getting the first blood. Meanwhile, bottom lane, it's about to get spicy too as Busio is down to 100 HP here from the Alistar. Game number 2, Energy strikes first.
And I love the fact that Contractz was up there. Bwipo and Inspired took the 2v2 anyway, and Bwipo, he had 2 go-out buttons to use, flash and ult, and he didn't even use them to go out. He just accepted his fate, ulted in the same spot, and died.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is on the bot side as well, they are getting pushed, and now they'll be able to reset, and Contractz will be able to mop up these first 3 grubs on top side off of that kill as well.
Yum yum, free grubs, jungler's favorite snack. 1,000 gold lead for Energy, 3 grubs uncontested just 30 seconds after they spawned. This is a great start for Energy. It feels like when the lanes don't swap, Energy has a better time in the early game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we kind of saw that from last game, right? Is like, it's not even necessarily the initial swap, but it's when you swap back and how you're paying attention to XP and level and your wave state. And in this situation, this gives, again, opportunities for Contractz to visit his lanes early if he wants. Lillia has tools where she can help out in ganks, just like we saw on this top side for the Renekton, which puts him in a better position against this Volibear. And every single one of their lanes, even mid lane, where I have to point out that Huhi actually did an early roam around 3 minutes to help set that lane up for Palafox really early, are winning on NRG's side.
I am a little bit surprised to see the full Merc Treads rush from Dhokla first, especially since I know Volibear does mixed damage to the passive and whatnot, but it is an AD jungler, and I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know the Renekton Volibear matchup super deep, but
Yeah.
I would have expected some more raw combat power.
I will say, if they're trying to chain CC with Volibear Q into the Viego, the Merc Treads are going to make that a much tighter timing. So I can understand that. There's a lot of magic damage that does come out from Volibear in the actual matchup, so since he's ahead, keeping the move speed advantage on Volibear is another very crucial thing to be able to just space him in the lane. Let's just see if Dhokla can actually build off of this first blood advantage. This wave is actually pushing slightly against Bwipo, so he does need to shove it, and that's when Dhokla goes in.
Yeah, the empowered Ruthless Predator just busting the shield from the Sky Splitter as Bwipo now finally going to try to flash away. Dhokla doesn't have the move speed to catch up immediately, and now Bwipo is ready to respond. He's not fast enough, though. There's your move speed.
I mean, I thought that was going to give Dhokla the kill, actually. When he first got the flash out from Bwipo, I thought he'd be able to chase after and finish, but not quite enough damage with the flash through. I think it's mainly because Bwipo went defensive early with the early chain vest, so the damage wasn't quite there for Dhokla. It still will mean, though, that Bwipo loses this wave. Most likely 2 plates here to Dhokla if he greeds just a little bit. And this lane is flipping on the side of NRG.
Yeah.
Nicely done, man. Top lane, NRG popping off here nice and early. FlyQuest will at least get themselves the first Drake uncontested on the other side of the map in the meantime.
Yeah, and as we see Inspired invading, I was wondering if they were going to set up something with this bot lane pushing in, but it looks like Inspired's looking mid instead, especially with Busio coming up.
Busio just knocking those blast cones around a little bit. Inspired does have chicken control. Busio still seeing maybe, hey, there's an angle here. Perhaps Palafox, he does have his summoner spells, but he's very low on mana here on the Corki. If Qual could get a nice shuffle, knock him further away from that turret, there could be a dive angle, but Bwipo's about to crash this wave.
No,
Contractz is about to crash into Bwipo. He's going to take a nap, and he's about to take a dirt nap right after. Plenty of damage between these two. I don't see a world where Bwipo gets away from it. He cannot drain tank that as Palafox flashes away. Busio's coming in. The cow just tramples him. FlyQuest support, grabbing a kill on that one, but now he can't get away because Contractz is here on the escape angle to cut him off.
And the big difference here is Contractz, right? He is living in this top lane, and after getting that kill on the top side, is able to rotate down and make this mid a 1-for-1. Which is, again, really crucial for NRG, and it also, I think, just shows how much more comfortable they are playing in standard lanes, especially if Contractz has something where he can affect his lanes.
Yeah, talking about Contractz affecting the lanes. This whole split, we've been calling Inspired the CEO of Full Clear. Contractz, by contrast, is a day trader in a crypto market, right? He just wants to go into the lanes. He's got a couple of coins that he thinks might be able to pop off, and he's going to invest in those. He's going to look to get a return on those, and he's getting returns in the first couple of plays here in this game.
He absolutely is. So after Contractz got that kill in the top lane, this is the mid lane play. It's fine if FlyQuest have to burn this much Flash Ignite, Alistar, his entire person as well, just to get the kill onto the Corki is very worth for NRG.
Yeah, and I mean, they were already sending their bot lane topside, right? So Huhi was in position. Jhin was actually kind of in a position where FBI could have come down. And here we see, I love the day trader crypto bro Contractz Photoshop.
Do want to break down the stats here, though. It means Inspired doesn't gank that much, keeping a distance, letting everybody else do the work. Contractz has to ensue a lot of risk himself, so that's why he dies the most in 14 minutes on average, but it pays off with tied for the most first blood kills as junglers. It's weird, though, because at this point, like, he's up at the moment. Like, his stocks are popping this game.
And I want to make sure that we are praising NRG for this early game appropriately, because last time around, FlyQuest had a big lead early on, and it was like, man, this feels suffocating for NRG. This time around, it's a 3,000 gold lead just 12 minutes into the game. They got the second pot of grubs as well. NRG's early game is feeling fantastic, and now we're just going to need to see them play as a team when it comes to these larger fights as we move forward into the mid-game to keep this rolling.
Which has been their weakness through a lot of the regular season, is being on the same page in team fights. So FlyQuest is definitely now trying to find their windows, but they will not have strong places to play through. You can see Inspired, he's jobless right now, actually walking through wards, no jungle camps up, just kind of waiting in a bush and just hoping that he gets some type of corporate handout here to bail him out of the issue he's in.
This delved into a critique of CEOs that I did not expect.
Yeah, I mean, if this game goes poorly, you know it's not Inspired who's going to be taking the pay cut. No, I'm done.
As we see, we're curious to see what Bwipo was going to build first. The answer is actually Frozen Fist. So, Jatt, we guessed it.
I know.
We guessed it correctly.
We guessed it. I imagine when he's been ahead in scrims, he's gone elsewhere. They going for Palafox, though.
Palafox getting caught out here. Needs a little bit more distance to try to escape all the way. Busio needs the last auto attack for the lockdown, but he ain't going to find it. The Heartbreaker from Inspired makes his way into the fight, and he steps into the range of the curtain call. But now a big sleep. Watch out, Contractz again making so many moves here for this Energy team in game number 2. FBI's gonna try to get away as Quad sends his soldiers forward, and Bwipo is ready to chase down FBI. Huhi gets away underneath the tier 1 as Massu and Quad are working together with Bwipo to take down that Fed jungler. FlyQuest ain't stopping yet. Bwipo eats one more turret shot, and now it's just barely the escape for Huhi, but the Sky Splitter just barely misses him. FlyQuest got a big fight there, but the entire time, Big Dokes was taking big turrets in top lane.
And that's the thing, this is a 4v5, so the overall gold is still 3,000 in favor of NRG, but that is exactly the type of play that FlyQuest need to be looking for.
Yeah, and it's because they've ended up bringing Bwipo into that fight, right? Like his TP ended up saving that fight, as we see here. The setup going in, this is the initial catch on to Palafox, where they think they're completely safe. Huhi comes in, is able to stun up both Busio and Quad on the backside, and then Jhin starts firing.
Yeah, at this point, when the big sleep was landed by Contractz, I really did think it was going to be in the favor of NRG, but Bwipo makes a substantial impact upon arrival with Massu and Quad that makes NRG kind of full turn and run.
Yeah, and Dhokla's TP was...
Hold on, Bwipo in a 1v4. No, he's not. He's just already dead. Dhokla taking a killing spree on that one. Hey, guys, Energy is working together as a team. They are setting up plays and following one another into those plays. I am liking this.
Across the map as well. Now FlyQuest trying to get turrets on the backside, but Energy's hunting. Or not.
Yeah.
Hunt's over.
Hunt's over.
Everybody go home.
They're just going to take the tier 2 actually in top lane.
Yeah, they'll take tier 2 in top, or tier... FlyQuest will take tier 1 in top. NRG will take tier 2 in bot. And they hold mid.
This game is scrappy, man. Okay, so Energy have now claimed 2 tier 2 turrets from their opponents. They have knocked down the tier 2s in both side lanes. Tier 1 still standing for both teams in mid.
And I want to bring this up again from game 1. When Bwipo is ahead, the team is likely to win. When Bwipo is behind, the team is likely to lose. But it's also because he does so much for this team when he is ahead. And now that he's behind, he will have to kind of go for these desperation plays. So of all the players on FlyQuest, whether or not Bwipo is ahead or behind is what correlates strongest to victory or defeat for this team. So really big credit in the early game here with Dhokla and Contractz consistently targeting Bwipo and keeping him down.
And now the big thing for NRG, if we see whether FlyQuest will want to go on Dhokla.
Uh-oh, re-engage from Energy. Busio in danger. The Alistar ain't gonna be able to tank that one up. FBI picks up another kill. 1, 1, and 3 here on the Jhin. That is his first personal kill of the game. 7-4 overall for Energy. Over 4,000 gold ahead. Where was this team in game number 1? We are seeing signs of life from Energy that I feel like we haven't seen since last summer.
Well, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because they keep fighting. But I keep trying to talk about how we've seen NRG get these leads before, but in their series this summer, a lot of it has been in game 1, and then it's their games 2 that ends up being really, really tough for them. Here, the big thing for me is they have all of the tools to get onto FlyQuest's carries, right? We talked about how this composition works. We've seen them being able to pick people off already.
Now the fight with SBI in the middle of everybody on FlyQuest. He doesn't get away from those. Quad picks up the kill there. So FlyQuest getting a little bit back while Bwipo is forced away in the bottom lane. Deadly Flourish sidestepped by Huhi, so no additional lockdown. No further follow-up from FlyQuest. The lead shrinks back down to about that 3,500 gold point that it's been for quite a while.
It puts the game in a little bit of a spooky spot, also because FlyQuest have the first 2 Drakes. So if Energy doesn't have a way of snowballing this game open, the game can neutralize a lot because it'll take so long for Energy to actually threaten a soul. That play in particular is a bit worrying because Palafox was clearly on top side, Dhokla was clearly on bot side, and there was a large window where FlyQuest actually got to have a 4v3 in the mid lane, which based on the map state, you wouldn't expect to be possible. So I'm actually a little bit curious how FlyQuest got that numbers advantage for the mid fight.
Yeah, and it's these small things that I think NRG has cost NRG, in addition to their team fighting, just FlyQuest being able to recognize when they can make plays, even at a deficit. They're about to lose this mid turret off of the Herald push, which I do like from NRG. But they do still have all 3 outer turrets down. they have room to play with on the map if they can go in and get vision control.
FlyQuest looking a lot more scrambled up in game number 2 than they were in game number 1. And I think it kind of goes back to what ThinkCard was talking about when we heard Kobe interviewing him at the start of the game. They aren't a squad that has these clean games where they just put people in the dirt, go home, and get ready for the next series. Like, FlyQuest has a lot of variance in what we see from them on the Rift here in Summer 2024. Let's see. Bottom lane, though, my big concern for NRG, even in this game, where the team as a whole is looking a lot better, is Palafox. Because back when this NRG squad popped off last year, when they won Summer, when they beat G2, a lot of it was because Palafox and Contractz were working together so well. Palafox was finding angles and plays and just really being this big X factor for the team. And I feel like in both spring and summer of this year, we have not seen that same level of performance from him, and I feel like if NRG wants to try to recapture some of that magic, Palafox has to be the rabbit they're pulling out of the hat.
And it's been a very peculiar decline for him. He had a bad game 1 even, and in this game, he is still the only member who is behind his opponent. Might get the Alistar ult out here. Yep. So I'm thinking of the ways that FlyQuest could get back in this game now that the gold deficit has grown to 4,000. A lot of it would be if Quad can build on this. He doesn't quite have his Zhonya's completed yet, but his arm guard hasn't been used, so he has the ability to set up some really big plays with the Azir into a Massu bullet time, because they kind of need that type of wombo combo where they're landing their AoE abilities on multiple people to overcome this gold deficit in a fight.
Well, and you can see how FlyQuest are kind of setting him up for that, right? In bot lane, he's going to soak up a few waves here, and I think FlyQuest have been pretty good in these situations of keeping their carries in it, and then it'll come down to team fight setup and whether NRG, again, can get their coordination on board to win these fights, especially since they should have map control here.
And they do have item control right now for NRG. You can see those second items coming online in a couple of different spots. The Sterix gauge fully completed for the Renekton, for Dhokla in top lane at a 3-0-1 score. Still Bwipo trying to put those components together for his second big tank item, excuse me. As the arm guard also available and unused for Contractz on the Lillia. And NRG will have total control over the bottom lane. We're talking about stopping that Drake stack for FlyQuest, and they'll stop it right here.
Yeah, I believe that FlyQuest is deciding to fight later. They did have this bot lane pushed, which they might still try and play around with Azir sneaking here, so they could be setting up a bit of a trap for Palafox. But makes a lot of sense that they would not contest that Drake, because if they lose that fight, it would go right into an NRG Baron, and then the gold lead would become unsustainable. And this trap has been set by Bwipo.
Bwipo going in. Palafox tries to leave. Sky Splitter doesn't accomplish a whole lot here, but they'll summon up the Sun Disc. Dhokla and Contractz are coming in. They shuffle the Croc right on back, but he'll continue to slice forward. Bwipo will stand and fight. He has no other choice. Quad is surely going to die to Contractz right here. Palafox grabbing the first kill, and NRG's about to make it 2. Easily done. The trap was set, but NRG were the ones who ultimately bamboozle their opponents.
Yeah, and they recognize that they can just TP in, make it a more advantageous fight for themselves. And FlyQuest's response is going to get a few jungle camps here, try to get some vision control down, maybe see if someone pushes up in lane before resetting. But good recognition of NRG as to where they can respond, right? Because as soon as that trap came in, Dhokla is still in a really good spot. He's 3-0-3 right now, up 2.3K over Bwipo as...
Ooh, Huhi. Nope, not getting away from that one. Looked like for a second maybe there was some hope. But if we're talking about hope, FlyQuest might have just found their angle to try to make something real crazy happen. They are going to YOLO Baron.
Oh man, it's just the support down. So as long as NRG fights this slow, they can get in there, but that Baron's going down actually pretty fast. Contractz has to get in there.
Yeah, they've got Azir for FlyQuest. He can shred through Barons very effectively. Palafox and Contractz trying to make their approach. The Baron is going to be burned low, down to 2,000 HP, and Contractz isn't anywhere nearby. The Baron falls, and FlyQuest claim it. Busio's the first one sacrificed, as Bwipo has to flash back over the Baron pit wall to escape. So it's a trade. They lose their support, but they get the Baron. Remember, they killed the enemy support at the very start. Now the backs are going to get interrupted. Contractz Contractz wanted to go in here with the Hourglass as Bwipo gets locked up. An extra kill will go the way of Energy here on the very back end of things. As Palafox jumps forward, he'll find a kill and flash back away. That's the Palafox I was waiting to see a little bit more of.
Yeah, and obviously FlyQuest recognize after the pick on Huhi, maybe we just go flip Baron. They actually protect it pretty cleanly, and they almost got away with it. And then NRG are able to stop it with the Lillia. And I mean, I don't hate that call.
I love it.
I really liked it. It almost worked out for them, right? And that is what makes FlyQuest a dangerous team still in a lot of these situations.
I think this could be a very interesting series because of the signs of life we're seeing from Energy. So yes, they got picked off. Yes, FlyQuest made that rush Baron call. And I think in week 3 of the regular season, that's the backbreaker for Energy. Maybe they int when they're trying to get the Baron buffs off of FlyQuest and suddenly the game's close. But look at this response here. Can they get Inspired?
Inspired's low, but he gets away for now. Quad with the engage here for the shuffle, but there's no follow-up. Bullet time finally arrives over the wall, and Contractz gets traded back jungler for jungler as FBI has to try to escape, and Quad doesn't have enough mana to continue the fight. Dhokla's there on the flank, but FlyQuest has already backed away. 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, so the action really not slowing down here. Bwipo and Busio are constantly looking for picks. No flash on Palafox.
He can get the Valkyrie away in time. Volibear's animation when he catches up to you after that run, he has to throw his arms in the air and then slam down, so you can easily Valkyrie away from that one, even if he gets stunned at the very end of the animation. But now, here's one more look at how the Baron fight went down.
And Inspired actually didn't even have Smite. That's how much they wanted to just flip it. Cannot let Contractz in. It means Busio has to invest everything to peel. Otherwise, maybe they would have had more people escape. And I really do like that Energy continued this chase. They pick up 2 kills. One from Contractz and Dhokla zoning out Bwipo. But then Palafox, despite not having a very good game to this point, sees the window and goes in for the execute.
Yeah, and I did like, again, how FlyQuest were able to protect the Baron from Contractz. And then NRG recognizing that they will win this fight, right, on the backside of it. The big thing now, though, is NRG closing out games.
Yeah, Inspired getting caught, has to use Heartbreaker back over the wall. And when you look at the scoreboard, you can see the story of the game pretty numerically. 3 out of 5 of the roles are very close, right? Not even 500 gold separating mid, bot, and support. But over 2,000 gold leads in both the top and jungle roles. It's Dhokla and Contractz that are really shining here for Energy in Game 2.
And I think it backs up what Thinkard said at the beginning of the day, right? They are used to seeing this Volibear from scrims. They knew exactly how they wanted to deal with it. Contractz is on one of the best junglers right now, right? Where he is able to affect lanes. Lillia also just brings so much to this team composition that we've already seen from their fights and how they want to lock people down and pick them off. And recognizing that is classic NRG. That's what I like to see from this team, is Contractz playing around his lanes, getting one of his laners ahead, especially when they used to play almost exclusively towards their solo lanes in Palafox and Dhokla. And now they are in good control of the game, so it's, can you close this out cleanly?
And that, to me, makes this game, at this point, such a must-win for Energy.
Oh, yeah.
Because so much has gone well for them already. But at the end of the day, this is a 5,000 gold lead. They're 2 Drakes away from Soul. All the inhibitor turrets are up. There's still work to be done. If they are to not convert this lead, I think that's the clean sweep. So I think series-defining sequence here for Energy if they even want a chance of pulling off an upset.
All right, let me ask you guys about this. Since you're both analysts and I'm just a Scorpion guy, I'm still seeing so many people build Lord Dom's regards after the changes to it, after the removal of like the Giant Slayer passive and everything. When it's really the reality of difference in stats now is that it has 10 more damage and Mortal Reminder has 40% heal cut for the exact same stats otherwise. You're up against Volibear, Viego, and Bloodthirster Rust Misfortune, as well as Alistar. I just feel like there's definitely maximizations that could be made to guarantee that you have the best possible chance of closing this game out. But where's Mortal Reminder?
It's not there.
Where's it at?
I mean, I think the answer, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 damage. That's why they're built
longsword.
A lot of it could be habit. Some of it's about target selection.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, and this is going to be a really, really dirty stat, but like as item 3 on Jhin, I do see Lord Doms as higher win rate, which kind of breaks my brain because I would imagine just looking at it, the heal cut is going to be better, but
well, that's my assumption, right?
In that case, I don't hate it as much. But I still think we should be seeing a lot more Mortal Reminder based on what you said.
All right,
I think generally we should be seeing more Mortal Reminder.
I'm just making sure I'm not totally out in left field here. I've seen a couple conversations about this on Twitter, but you never know how much quality those conversations have these days. So I had to do a sanity check here with you guys real fast, but we do have to also check in on something else. The Baron about to spawn here in 5 seconds. Control over the Rift currently belongs to NRG, and FlyQuest have to try to stake some sort of a claim back out here in neutral territory.
Yeah, and NRG have a really good setup. They've pushed in both of their side waves. FlyQuest pushing in through mid, but NRG should be able to push back, have good control over the Drake.
Dhokla immediately finds Bwipo and just unleashes a can of whoop-ass on him. But now, who's in trouble? Dhokla locked up in the middle of 4. He can't find his kill. Big Dokes with a big blunder here in the enemy jungle.
And that's a long death timer. Let's see what they actually burn for it. Just the Azir ultimate. So, and the Viego ultimate is burned, but I think that's because he had a free reset after the kill, so it's still going to be up. FlyQuest is going to try and use his 5v4 to move in on Baron Pit.
Yeah, most importantly, we still have Alistar, MF, ults up for a potential Baron fight as they push in mid.
And Massu just hit level 16. Quad having to use the stasis to make sure that he doesn't end up in any trouble here as the Sun Disc is summoned. Bwipo teleports in to rejoin the rest of the squad. The Sun Disc makes enough space for FlyQuest to again fall back. They're heading up towards the Baron Pit, but they don't want to start this. Dhokla's going to be alive in 5 seconds, and he has TP.
That's too slow there, actually. If FlyQuest doesn't immediately move and start it, Dhokla's going to be able to revive. So it's still going to be a bounty over to Bwipo, but the control of the map is now gone.
Dhokla is right back in it. He cannot be out of the action. This is a fast-paced game, and NRG's going to keep that pace pushed. They are going straight for the Baron, but they aren't DPSing it very quickly. They're just trying to lure FlyQuest over. They want to try to force the fight instead. Busio leading the charge for FlyQuest on the approach. Has a lot of lockdown on the front line. Destroys Huhi. FlyQuest have found their first pick, and Dhokla goes into dominance trying to fight back. Contractz into the back line of FlyQuest, but he ain't finding the pressure he needs here just yet. Gonna grab the first kill as Palafox goes on a rampage. Dhokla trying to protect FBI as Bwipo dives into the back, but it ain't gonna matter. NRG! They found 2, and they need to get more. Quad wants to get out as the Emperor tries to flash it away, but Palafox won't let him. NRG is cleaning up this fight with a bullet time over the wall, maybe, but not enough. A double kill for mid-peeler Palafox.
That wasn't pretty, but it was effective because they killed 4, they only lost 1, and they're going to get the Baron here.
I thought it was a little dicey, mainly because for a while there, they were not able to get onto Quad or Massu, right? But also Quad and Massu were not necessarily able to get in. As we see this, again, Busio goes in, kicks Huhi back. Huhi goes down pretty quickly, but Inspired is able to take over Leona, and I mean, Dhokla is really taking care of Inspired and Bwipo here.
I really thought after the original pick that this was going to be an NRG game throw, but Bwipo goes continually deep. I think if he had pulled back to the rest of his team, maybe there's a chance. And then the finish by Palafox just ends up being incredibly effective. He continues the chase, he kills Quad, and then Inspired can't quite get Palafox while he's close enough to the bullet time to get the max amount of damage and ends up just giving away another death. And you can see how much this means. How hyped up NRG is right now.
I feel like you can see like a relief just rising off of Croissant's shoulders in the background as he's yelling. And Jatt, you said it wasn't pretty. It was not.
It was not.
But it does look like it is going to be effective, and NRG should be able to close this out.
9,000 gold lead. Drake's still tied 2-2, not really a factor on those. That third Mountain Drake has spawned now, so NRG can secure that on their way out. They are taking everything from FlyQuest. As you can see, Massu caught out in a bad spot here. Huhi and Palafox just delete him. Bwipo was trying to provide some level of protection, but that ain't gonna work.
As much as this does seem like an NRG victory, I am not counting it until the Nexus falls, because
Okay.
if we just think about this last sequence, the last 2 or 3 minutes, Dhokla gets caught split pushing while trying to set up a wave. There's then 50 seconds where NRG have to hold out before Baron happens. Then, when it is a 5v5, they just straight up start it as 5, because the split pushing and the conventional ways of trying to end the game weren't effective for them, so they kind of just had to hard force, and they outfought FlyQuest, which is something that NRG hasn't really been doing throughout most of the split, which is encouraging that they can win the outfight. But it also just means that I still think anything can happen. If Quad or Busio find a very clean engage here, I can see them bursting down Palafox or FBI, and that would be enough to change the actual momentum in this game. 85% of the time, 90% of the time even, NRG wins this, but FlyQuest, they're still going to fight to the end.
NRG pushing into top lane now. They have already crushed the inhibitor back in mid. They want to continue to use these last 30 seconds of Baron to some sort of efficacy. They're going to have the next wave about to arrive. 40% HP remaining on the tier 3 turret here in top. Bwipo just trying to guard any sort of an angle off to the side here. Dhokla is trying to approach from that same angle. Cannon minions doing a lot of work here on the tier 3 turret. That one's going to collapse. Probably just one more shot from that cannon minion. There it goes.
There we go.
Curtain call opens up. Quad stuck in the stasis, having a flash away now as the bullet time fires back. Busio on the front line. Bought a lot of time. And Inspired takes down Huhi. Nice snipe coming out from FBI to make it a 1-for-1 as both supports fall. Inspired has to go back into the fountain and heal up a little bit more. NRG's 4-man squad is not done yet. Their Baron has expired though, and it looks like they're going to call it on that one.
I think overall an effective push still for NRG. It looked a little tight when Huhi did go down to the bullet time, but you could just see the raw gold lead pushing back Inspired and Bwipo at the end of that fight. So 2 inhibitors down, another reset, then set up for the 3rd inhibitor. This whole time, I think FlyQuest is just going to try and get vision in this area, and then just hope that someone isn't grouped when they check. I think that's their last window back in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I really do want to see NRG close it out, right? Because they've been so shaky in a lot of these situations in the past. I think even at the inhib, it wasn't as dicey as it looked, even with Huhi going down, because they did have range. And additionally, Dhokla, prior to that, was doing a really good job of marking Bwipo, where Bwipo might be able to come around on a flank. As we see Contractz going in.
Yeah, Contractz also with that verdant barrier makes it a lot easier for him to make these approaches onto Lillia to get in there and set up these fights. Now, once more, the Zhonya is being used to stay safe against the bullet time. Yes, Huhi's low, but they don't really care that much. He has Warmogs. The Leona is going to rapidly regenerate. NRG knows they can all pressure this bottom lane because they have free pressure in the other 2 lanes with the super minions they've already earned. Neither one of those is going to be respawning super soon here. So now with their 5v4, they're going for the last lane, the last angle. Deadly Flourish locks up Busio, forcing out the Unbreakable Will before any sort of a fight even starts. That means as soon as Busio goes in, he's dead in the next fight. FlyQuest scrambling to heal up, go for their last defense here at the goal line as NRG keeps the pressure on. Another nice Deadly Flourish from FBI. No way for the rest of the team to follow up there on Massu. Remember, the Misfortune still does have that cleanse if they try to overcommit. First Nexus turret taking a little bit of damage, and the minions are about to arrive to facilitate a little bit more. Got it down below half now. Dhokla is on full fury, full dominance mode. Here on the Croc. Busio wanted to make a play, but he ain't gonna find it. Massu with a quick cleanse in case he would have got caught by that solar flare. Dhokla wanted to go in and lock up Quad, but the Zhonya is going to keep him alive now as the 2nd Nexus turret dies. Bwipo going after Palafox, but he ain't going to find the angle to kill him yet. The front line of FlyQuest is down. Quad is down. Everybody on FlyQuest is going home in body bags. NRG just woke up for playoffs. Massu's firing back. He takes out 2, but it ain't going to matter. NRG tie up the series.
And I think this is the best game Palafox has played in quite some time, mainly because of his execution in team fights. Even that very last one, he dodged the flank engage from Bwipo and Inspired to secure the victory.
And the big thing for me from NRG is their early gameplay, right? Because we talked about how they initially looked good in the swap, and then FlyQuest totally outplayed them. They out-macroed them completely in game 1. In this game, we saw them really understand about where they wanted to apply pressure. Contractz got involved early, lived in the top lane for a little bit. Bot lane 2v2 went super well, and they were able to play around and, more importantly, close it out, even with a few whoopsies here and there.
Yeah, if I'm Energy, I don't want no lane swaps anymore ever again. I'm me, and I don't want no lane swaps
True.
anymore ever again. But hey, single day tickets are officially on sale for the LCS Championship at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles. You can head on over to Riot.